Welcome to Hot Flash Chronicles, where midlife is messy, menopause is madness, and we're sweating through it together.
We're Angie and Shelly, two caffeine-fueled, slightly inappropriate grandmas who say what everyone's thinking.
So grab a drink, crank up the AC, and let's dive in. Guess what time it is, Angie?
It's time for a podcast.
Oh, I love this part. I love when it's time for a podcast. And this
I just love showing up to meet with you and talk about shenanigans, and maybe other people listen.
Maybe. I mean, it's great.
Thank you for listening.
It's great if you do.
High five to all 5 of our subscribers. No, I'm kidding.
To our tens of followers, there might be 10. Today is going to be good, but I'm going to start with, I'm Shelly.
Oh, hi, I'm Angie.
This one's going to be fun. It's about embarrassing moments, and the show must go on because they're going to happen. The embarrassing things are going to happen.
Inevitably.
And
when you have this many turns around the sun, you're going to have some things where you're like, did that actually just happen?
No.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting because I feel like being embarrassed is one of our human conditions that are very hard for some people to go through. The embarrassing moments. Some people they would rather die than be embarrassed.
Yeah. And it's, some of it probably is formed in your younger years. Like if you have a really traumatic experience or something.
Yeah.
But you know what? We're still alive.
Yeah.
We made it through it.
I feel like some of those embarrassing moments actually kind of condition you for just building that tougher skin that you sometimes
Yeah, and embarrassing also crosses over into awkward.
Yeah.
So Shelly and I used to be in a a cappella quartet. And
speaking of awkward,
you will never hear Christmas music the same. So
no.
Consider yourself warned. So we were in a quartet and we were doing what's called the snow train that goes from Seattle to Leavenworth.
It's a very holiday oriented.
Super holiday. They had hired us to go into the different train cars and perform. And most of the train cars were full of people. Some were private cars.
Yeah, there were some private.
We're setting up the story here. So, and we were doing 1 or 2 songs in each car. And we're just working our way down the train. We get to the end and go back toward the front.
There's many people doing this, singing. There's many different kinds of groups.
Yeah.
And it's just a holiday themed,
it's family
tree. It is. It's
unless. So imagine that you had rented a private car. Okay. No, this isn't NSFW. It's not walked in on something. So we would, before we walked into each car, we would blow the pitch pipe and we would each get our starting notes so that we weren't doing that in front of the people. And one car that we walked into, there was a cafe style table or a booth where it was 2 people on either side.
Yes.
And they clearly were not expecting us because they looked
very
surprised, confused, bewildered. Oh my God, what's happening?
Yeah.
It was
suspicious.
It was an older couple and
and a younger,
maybe 30s on the other side, right? And the mood of the room when we walked in was as though somebody had just shared some devastating news.
Some very important, something big just
happened that was life-changing to all 4 of them. They were holding hands across the table. Their shoulders were rolled in.
The body language.
They were shaking their head oh no, I can't believe that's true.
Yeah.
And what did we launch into, Shelly?
We launched into that very rousing rendition of Feliz Navidad.
So the other 2 people in our quartet had not, in fact, noticed the body language of the people at the table.
Yeah.
And the shock and horror on these 4 people who were not expecting a barbershop quartet to just roll into Feliz Navidad, as they were sharing, we have to put the cat down.
Important
Feliz Navidad. And we had choreo to go with it and everything. And they were just looking at us what the fuck is happening?
Why?
And then they looked at each other do you know who these people or it was we found out the kidney isn't a match. Feliz Navidad. It was
Feliz Navidad.
It was so awful.
And then, and the other 2 people in our quartet are just not reading the room. They're clearly.
They noticed it about 20 seconds in.
Also, imagine this. that you're literally not even a foot away.
Yeah, that was right up
We're
there.
in like sardine, like we could reach out and touch them.
It was not like if you're at a restaurant and you're ordering food, like the waiters at like a decent distance, right? No, this was like the waiters filling your water closeness. Like
So
we're
close.
leaning in, we're in their person above it, and they're just looking at us like, who are you? Like, what is happening? And we came up with all of these.
So after we left, because we got out, we left as soon as the last note.
It was like we couldn't get through that fast enough.
Yeah,
and it was a bass solo,
Yep.
which I was the bass.
Say it
And I was like,
faster.
the tempo was definitely rapido. Rapido.
And we got the hell out of Dodge and we stepped out of the private car into the hallway and we were like, oh my God, what just happened? And so then, of course, we had to try to figure out.
Terminal.
We tried to figure out what had just been said right before we walked in. We tried to go back in time and figure out, and we were like, and that's why you're written out of the will. Feliz Navidad.
It was so bad.
Every scenario was that some big bad news.
It was
dropped.
Something had just dropped.
Now,
Like,
here's the thing. That was probably 10 years ago now that's happened.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
10 years ago. And I remember it clearly.
Oh, and you know all four of those people.
I'm
Remember
sure they
it.
remember it too. Yeah.
Like, I know your real mother.
Feliz Navidad.
Like, it was the most awkward. And it's like, do we carry on? Like, is our lead going to notice at any point? Oh, just saw that glimmer of recognition. Like, we need to wrap this up. Call it a wrap.
Call it a wrap.
And my son, when he regales this story, because it's one of his favorites, is like, oh my God, I would do anything for a video of that. And then also he's curious, like when we left, were they just like, or maybe they weren't even like English speakers and they were just like, there are women in here and we didn't know that was part of what we had signed up for when we bought this.
We didn't know when we went on the holiday train where it says there's going to be a lot of singers that somebody would sing in our car.
Right.
It was
clearly something had gone on and that was the show had to go on. We had to finish the song.
Yeah.
We were doing multiple songs in each car and that was a one song car. We did not hit it on the way back.
No.
We were supposed to up and down. Nope. We did not hit that way. It was like D3 will not be visited a second time.
No.
Not gonna happen.
We already made their Christmas trip.
Yeah. So I still, when I hear Feliz Navidad, it just like cracks me up because I can picture their faces just like, who are you? What are you doing in here? Like, why is this happening?
And that's why I have to tell you and your mother, I have 3 months to live.
Feliz Navidad.
It probably wasn't our finest moment, but it was a fun moment.
It was a fun moment.
For us.
It's memorable.
It's definitely memorable. And you know what? We lived through it. And hopefully all four of them lived through it. We hope that wasn't really bad news.
Too far.
Too far.
But
I myself have had a lot of embarrassing moments because, I've been on this earth, many years. So the longer you're here, the more you increase your chance of yet another embarrassing moment happening. You just never know. And some of mine, when they really, really hit, and I remember, I think it's the younger you are, the harder it is to absorb the embarrassing moment.
Yeah.
You just really...
Or process it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I had one when I was in high school. And it's another singing one, just to be
I have many singing ones, music related. Like,
oh yeah. So I was in a singing group that was going to sing at an all state championship or something.
Mm-hmm.
It was where your group went and got adjudicated by these evaluators.
What does adjudicated mean?
It means that they're going to listen to your song and give you some feedback and give you a grade.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Basically agreed on it. So I was in this great group with some friends of mine, some girlfriends and some guy friends from high school. And we wore matching outfits. I remember the girl's outfit was like this red silk dress because in the 1980s.
Pretty.
It was super fancy. And it had this weird bow at the top. It would not look good now. But we had our poofy feathered back hair and our blue eyeshadow and our red satin dresses with tan nylons. This was the leg.
You had to the legs egg.
In the egg ones where you busted the egg open.
Hang on. sidebar.
Yeah.
When was the last time you wore nylons?
Oh, it's been a long time.
Do you think? I don't even think I own any nylons.
They're very painful if you have big thighs.
It would be an awful video watching me try to figure that. I know I haven't worn any since my accident because I can't even put socks on because my leg doesn't bend right.
You
So
don't want nylons then.
No.
I think they call them tight. No, and I just air quoted if you're listening.
Okay. So sorry, carry on. I just had to sidebar that. Like,
I got a big snag in my fancy suntan colored or whatever they were. Tan colored nylons right up the front. There was no way to turn it around or hide it. You could see it from every angle. And I couldn't just go without nylons because everybody else had suntan legs and mine were bright white.
Wouldn't it be better to have a run in your nylons? To have no nylons than a huge...
No, not when your legs are so white they're glowing and everybody else is suntan.
Right, that's fair.
It was just a thing. You had to wear nylons. So I had not brought a backup pair because why would I be prepared for a snag in my nylons? I wouldn't. So somebody else there had an extra legs egg. They had brought one. And I was a more voluptuous, and I said lump.
I was going to say, did you say voluptuous?
Girl.
Yeah.
And young woman. And I was wearing a size B leg zig. And the person who had the extra pair had a size A, which is one size smaller. So when I pulled these all the way up, they just barely kind of went to the middle, like right below my belly button was where they landed. They were not hiked
I can
up
see where this is going.
to right under my boobs, which is where I prefer those nylons to be. They were missing several inches. So they were very tight. I was like 17.
Okay.
So I hurriedly put these on. It's almost stage time. I take one step on towards the stage and I feel it roll down. Like one roll, like boom.
Ladies, you felt that, right? Did you guys physically feel that? If you've worn nylons ever, did you physically feel that action? Like the...
Yep. So every time I take a step, it rolls down another roll and inches down towards my knees every time. So as we're singing and doing our choreo with our little song, I remember the song was called Tanzen und Springen.
Oh.
It was German.
Okay.
I think it means like dancing and...
Tanzen.
Und Springen.
Dance and jump.
Dancing and jumping is the name. So you can imagine the choreo, right?
Why wouldn't you? Oh my God.
Every time I dance and jump, another roll goes down. So
we're running out of real estate now for it to go anywhere.
That's down at your ankles.
Yeah.
So
on stage, being adjudicated.
This dress ends right above my knee, like maybe an inch above my knee. And by the time we're done, Tanzen und Springen, my nylons are about 3 inches above my knee.
Wow.
And I have 6 steps to get off the stage. So
oh my God.
I'm the closest to...
What would you have done if they would have wound up at your ankles?
Laughed. I don't know. I'm so glad that what happened was I took 2 very big steps instead of 6 tiny steps.
Wow.
And the minute I was behind the curtain, those nylons were at my ankles and I almost tripped and fell because I was trying to leave so quickly.
So do you know what's funny is you were going through your own horror movie during that set.
Yeah.
Nobody else knew that happened. Not a single person knew that internal struggle. And I feel like, dare I say, you should have earned extra points.
Yeah.
If you kept your shit together during that, that's like worthy of extra adjudication.
I think I should have got points. Right. Yeah, for grace under pressure. I was the consummate performer. My face was all Tanzen und Springen, and I was doing my heels.
Tanzen und Springen.
I was into it, and I did not show the panic, but I do know when I remember that, I just really have no idea what happened, other than the whole thing was me focused on those things not hitting the ground during the adjudication.
How many moments do people go through that we don't even know that they're going through that terror in their mind? So like it could be any, like you could just be at the grocery store.
Yeah.
So I have a great story. About 12 years ago, I was taking piano lessons, and my piano teacher, it was done out of her home, and she was a younger mom, lovely lady. I can't remember her name. And she had a little baby. She had like an 18-month-old. And our lessons started at 2:00. And that was right about the time that the baby went down for a nap. And because the baby would hear like doorbells and knocking and all that kind of stuff, she had a standing rule with her clients that you just like walk in quietly and sit on the couch and wait for her.
That makes sense.
So one of the lessons, and I think it may have been one of my final lessons, you're about to hear why. I walked in and I sit down on the couch and I can hear a man talking. And I know she's married, never met the husband. And I hear him talking, and this guy walks around the corner in his underwear, and he looks at me like quizzically, like, who is this one? And he carries on with this phone call. It's like a work call. Oh. And he sits on the other side of the L-shaped couch, and he's just carrying on with this work call. And it goes on for about 10 minutes. And I'm just sitting there, like, looking at my music, like, studying like, okay, the words, and this one's going to be. And I'm like, and he just keeps looking at me and kind of smiling and, like, nodding. And so it carries on, I would say at least 10 minutes. It may have been only 40 seconds, but it was definitely longer than 5 minutes. And I'm sitting there because I heard all about what this guy was doing at work, and it was like a group meeting on a phone. And he hangs up. And I don't think it was something that he could have like, guys, can you give me a minute? Yeah. He hangs up and he sets his phone down, and he just like, and he looks at me and he says, "Can I help you?"
Stranger sitting in my living room.
And I'm like, I can't remember her name. I'll just call her Jane. I was like, "I'm here for Jane." And he's like, "That's my wife." And I'm like, okay. He's like, "But why are you in my living room?" And I said, "Well, is she putting the baby down?" And he was like, "She's not home." And I was like, so then I feel like I have to stumble all over myself to explain to this poor man why I just walked into his house without knocking or ringing the doorbell, just like walked in and sat on his couch and watched him make a phone call in his underwear.
Call the cops on
you. No kidding. And so then I look at my phone and I see that she had texted me like an hour previous that she was going to have to reschedule because she had to take the baby to the doctor. And I'm just like, I am so sorry. I'm Angie, by the way, who's like Mike. Now, I remember his name.
Yeah.
I've seen
in his underwear.
But just the look on his face, like, as he's talking, like, so this guy's perspective
is there's a strange lady.
He's on his lunch hour at home, like on a work call, like working from home, like doing something, like handling stuff. Yeah. And he's just sitting there talking, and some random woman, I am the random woman, just walks into his living room and sits down.
I mean, who does that? Someone with a lot of confidence.
Oh my God, I was horrified.
Yeah.
And then I was like texting her, like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I just saw your husband in his underwear.
Oh my God."
And she thought it was hilarious. I was mortified. That was wildly embarrassing, but the show had to go on. And I don't think I had many appointments after that. I feel like that was kind of the end.
Kind of the natural ending of that.
Well, because you don't want to like go back and be like, "Hey, Mike, like nice to
see you clothed."
No, and absolutely, I'm not walking in, even though you told me to. I'm not just walking in. It's I'll wait in my car. You text me when the baby's asleep.
Yeah, I'm never coming back in.
Oh God.
Yeah, so these things that happen, like I think it's really important to remember. Now, Mike probably remembers that.
I'm sure
he remembers it.
I'm sure they had a good laugh.
I'm sure they had a good laugh. After you have all the context, you're like, "Oh, I see how this happened now." It wasn't just
I know what happened here. Yeah.
Just coming into my house. But it's so funny. A lot of times when we get really mortified or very, very embarrassed, it is really kind of a thing that we internalize, and we think it says something about us.
Right.
It's really not. It's just sometimes unfortunate timing, a mistext.
Well, it's like I was the only client that she had just walk in and sit down. Because I was the only one that showed up at their daughter's nap time. So for every other one of her clients would knock on the door and she would let them in. But I was the only one. Lucky girl. Lucky girl.
Lucky the
I'm
girl.
so lucky.
So when these embarrassing things happen, part of the reason we get so mortified and we carry, it's almost like you feel ashamed. It's almost like one of those shame feelings. And
Almost,
or is. And it's like we really think a lot of ourselves that we think other people are going to remember that forever and ever. Certain instances, yes, but like my nylons rolling down,
nobody even knew that happened.
Nobody knew it happened.
Now we're publicly telling it.
I'm
so
apparently proud of it now. So I don't, because I look back on it now and go, oh, that was so silly. And I was so mortified. And actually the amount of everything I was feeling was way, way in excess of what really happened. And it's like that feeling of shame, the fear of feeling shame is so great. And most of us that we make these things overly important, and they're really just no-brainers. Like even Mike, who was on the other end of that, he probably remembers it. He probably doesn't reflect on it very often.
Right.
Like maybe every once in a while they randomly remember that, but it's definitely not something he thinks about every day. Or maybe he has a deep psychological problem after that.
Maybe need therapy. Just like make sure you lock the door.
I'm rethinking that. Mike, we're sorry if you suffered any real long.
I owe you an apology. I didn't apologize at the moment. I mean, I probably did.
Oh, I'm sure you did.
I'm an over-apologizer already.
Probably
probably just was like.
But it's like recognizing sometimes we look back on the things we felt so embarrassed about. We're like, gosh, that's not even that big of a deal. Like, why did I make that such a big deal? And so sometimes it's perspective, and we don't get perspective until we have time,
right,
to reflect.
Are there moments that you can think of where somebody else did something really embarrassing and you were like, oof, and like you,
gosh,
see, I feel like I don't have a lot of remembering because that's their story.
Yeah.
They're the hero in that journey, or the clown or the jester or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so I think that the lesson there is like, people aren't going to remember it.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, honestly, I can't unless somebody, I mean, I probably could if I really dug back into my memory banks. I could probably remember something if I was there, like that happened to a close friend or one of my kids or something.
Right.
I have to dig. Like,
right.
I have to really think about it. And because they're not in my memories, really. I don't access other people's embarrassing moments.
Yeah. So what that tells me is it's just not that deep.
No.
So if you do something that's like, oof, that's a little cringy, people probably aren't going to remember.
There's a good chance they're not. And here's the way you can prevent that.
Oh, no.
If you have had a really embarrassing moment, you know what? Get that off your chest.
Tell us.
Just tell us. You can tell us.
We need like validation that we're not the only ones that
had a eggs incident or saying Feliz Navidad inappropriately to people who weren't Feliz Navidad.
They were not Felizing or Navidading.
There was no Feliz and negative Navidad out of that car. None.
I was so proud of my pronunciation.
And there was no dancing or jumping either. No tanzen
and springen.
None.
Kein springen.
Springen. Springen.
So share with us your embarrassing moments, or how you feel about this, or if you ever walked in on your piano teacher's husband in his underwear. That would be so special.
I mean,
or if you are the piano teacher or the husband.
Yeah, let us.
Or the family that was in the snow train car.
We'd love to hear what really happened.
We would love to know, because
if you're one of our tens of followers, you just happened to be one of the people that were on the snow train about 10 years ago. You could tell us.
That would be amazing.
What was going on?
Wait, were you Peppermint Twist? Is that
that was the name of the group? Yes.
Group is
or also, why don't you give us your prediction on what news they just dropped?
Yeah,
we'd love to hear what you.
Because we've written our own narrative, and it's pretty.
They're all
pretty dark. It's pretty dark.
Maybe it wasn't.
Because it wasn't just like, oh, tomatoes aren't on sale at Safeway anymore. It was like, no, it was bad.
It was bad. There was bad news. Bad juju was in that room.
Bad juju.
It was. But okay, we're gonna put this back into perspective. What we're gonna say is
Feliz Navidad.
Feliz Navidad und Tanzen und Springen. Und was? Springen. But just remember, embarrassing things are gonna happen.
Yeah.
It is part of life. And what I've learned
makes a great story.
Yeah. As I've gotten older, what I've realized is sometimes it's still embarrassing, and sometimes I feel that brief moment of shame. And then I'm like, this is just life. This is just life, doing a life thing. And
C'est la vie.
let's just,
C'est la vie.
we're just going to get over this and we're going to find a way to laugh about it, because sometimes that really is the best medicine for getting through. And that's why you really should tell us your embarrassing moment.
You're really digging deep on this. She really wants your stories, guys.
I do. You can tell them here, like you can post under this when you see it in the comments, or if you feel like, no, this is way too embarrassing, just message us on our Instagram page or
anonymously if you'd want. Like that's no shame in that. So Shelly,
yes,
we love to sometimes wrap our episodes with the rapid fire questions.
Oh goodness, yes.
Let's do like I do one, then you do one, then I do one, then you do one.
Okay. I love it. You're mixing it up.
Okay, are we ready?
Yes.
Okay. Favorite flavor of jelly bean?
Oh my gosh, you would think this would be easy, but I'm so proud that I didn't scream anything. I like the tropical ones. I think I want to go with like a pineapple.
Pineapple's a great choice.
Yeah.
Your turn.
Okay. All right, Angie, if you could live in another decade.
You asked me this last time.
Did I? Well, apparently oh my God, I have
I said the 1990s.
Oh, and I thought, why? That's right. You did that. Okay, we're not going to do that one then. We're not going to do that one. Let's go. Rewind. I didn't say that. We'll not edit that. Okay, Angie, take two. If you could crochet a masterpiece.
Yes.
That would go to the county fair and win a ribbon.
Wow.
Or if you could bake some kind of pie that would win a ribbon at the fair, which one would you want to do?
I'd want to bake pie.
You want to bake the pie?
I know. Crocheting is like, that's a long game.
I know. That's why I thought something more complicated. Would you rather be rewarded?
No, strawberry rhubarb pie.
Ooh, that's one of my favorites.
Final answer.
Okay.
Just because I bought Storino Farms just opened today, and I went with my family, and I bought strawberries and rhubarb. So it's on my mind.
Okay, I'm expecting one of those.
Okay. Right? Okay, second question for you. If you were a Christmas song, if there was a Christmas song written about your life, what would the title be?
Oh, it can be an original?
Yeah, it has to be.
Oh, okay, so it's not an existing Christmas song.
I mean, dealer's choice.
All right. It would be called I'm going to have a Merry effing Christmas, even if I do embarrass myself.
That was very specific. Okay, your second question.
It was. Okay. So, Angie.
Yes.
If you were cheese, would you be a mozzarella stick, or would you be brie cheese?
Oh.
They're both.
Brie has like the crunchy exterior that nobody likes, but the inside is gooey and yummy.
The rind. Yes.
The rind, that's the one. And string cheese. I'm going to go string cheese, and I don't know why, but I don't feel like I have an outside that nobody likes.
I feel like everybody loves string cheese.
Yeah.
So I think that's the right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
String cheese. Final answer.
An acquired taste. Love it.
Final answer.
Love it.
So this was an episode of Hot Flash Chronicles. Thank you for listening. We appreciate all of our flashers out there, and stay tuned for the next episode.
See you later.
Ciao.
Bye. That's a wrap on this episode. If you laughed, related, or just need more, hit subscribe.
Check out the show notes to find us on socials and YouTube, and join our Patreon for exclusive extras.
And remember,
we're still hot, just in flashes.